Hey everybody, welcome to MT Guitar. Hope we're doing well. Today we're going to cover just something that's so important, and I think you'll really enjoy it. I'm going to be breaking down three blues solos over a 12-bar blues. I'm going to talk about, the strategies that I use to improvise these solos, the theory going on behind the scenes, so to speak, and also more importantly, how you can work these ideas into your own playing. So I've composed, I basically improvised three solos. I tabbed them all out, and they're going to be on the Patreon. And then also I produced and recorded a backing track, 12-bar blues backing track. That'll also be an MP3 you can download. So that's something worth checking out. Now each solo kind of focuses on a different set of techniques and skills, which we'll break down. And each solo, even though they progress in difficulty, they sort of rely on two positions, maybe three. And that's pretty common. Usually if you have two positions to work with, you can really get all you need as far as mileage. A big thing about what this lesson is going to be bringing up is 12/8. Okay, so 12/8 is the triplet feel that you can get in a blues. Now we all probably are aware of what swing is, right? If I just go into sort of eighth note swing shuffle pattern, I get the blues rhythm, so to speak, right? You'd also see it in jazz and stuff. And that's really crucial, but taking it a step further from that, you can solo in that feeling or rhythm, but you can also solo in a triplet feel, which creates a 12/8 sort of feel. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you hear that a lot in people like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Albert King, who is Stevie Ray Vaughan's hero, as well as many other blues players, right? All the greats of today. 12/8 is something I don't hear talked about, and so the third solo I do is basically just all 12/8. So why don't we listen to the first solo? I did it on my ES-335, and then I'm going to show you how you can do this on an acoustic, as well as talk about my gear setup with the electric. So let's listen to the first one. All right, now this one's the trickiest on an acoustic because, of course, there's a ton of sustain on my guitar. All right, so let's quickly break down the tone of the electric to describe how you can get some sustain. Because if you're going to be playing some blues on an electric, the obvious benefit is you get a ton of sustain if you do it right. Okay, so I have my ES-335 going into a Ross compressor. I'm a huge fan of compressors. For electric, it just doesn't make sense not using one, in my opinion. I have it on all the time. I've been doing that since I was 22 years old or so, and I discovered, stuff about Trey's sound that I really liked from Fish. So you always use a compressor on electric. That's true for any Pink Floyd stuff I do as well. And so that goes into a tube screamer, which is another pedal that I just can't live without. I wouldn't say I have it on all the time, but I do use it for most solos. Then that goes into an OCD. Now this is if I really want to crank it up. Pretty rare that I use that, but I did use it on this video just because I have the amp turned low because I'm in a neighborhood where I can't really blast the amp. So in order to get more sustain, I wanted to put the OCD on. Okay. Then I put it into a delay pedal, which I almost always have on. All right. Usually 250 milliseconds is a good starting place. Just to provide a little ambiance, right? Into a chorus pedal. Again, not something I use a lot, but I used it for this video, I think. Yeah, it's on. So I used it, and it was fun. So that goes into a Fender Blues Junior amp, which is sort of my travel amp. Not for flights, but for driving. And then I mic'd that up and put it into Logic and then added a little compression into that as well on top of that. So that's kind of my setup if you're curious. Now, how would I play that first solo on an acoustic? Well, I would have issues with the sustain. So, right, so the bend is dying out. So I would add vibrato on an acoustic because it increases sustain. So as opposed to this, the sound's already dead. What about this? you can make that puppy go. So I would add a little reverb. I would add a little vibrato to give the sense of reverb, not reverb, but sustain, right? You get it. Okay. But even without a cutaway, it's possible on acoustic. Right? Pretty high up there. Okay, so what I would do on acoustic is that kind of thing where it's just adding a little bit of vibrato to give the sustain. Now let's break down the theory. This is first position blues scale. All right, we could have done this here, but the reason I didn't want to do that for this video is because we don't want to make it harder on ourselves, and when we bend, you want to not bend in the first few frets as you get started, because if you try to bend those notes, those frets I should say, there's a lot more tension on that, first part of the string. Now this first solo is pretty much all in first position, so we're going to go through it note for note and break down the theory, and we'll see how it's just one position with a slight detour into the second position of minor blues. So we have this minor blues scale. Great. It's also the same notes open if you want to go down 12 frets. And the first note here is a big bend. And we hold it for 2 beats and then unbend and bend back. And then unbend, pull off the 12, 15. So all just one string, that whole riff. Okay, now we repeat the riff like a call and response. That's the call. The response should be slightly different. So we're going to end with the 15th fret first string with a slight bend up. The flat 3 wants to go to major third because it's playing over an E7, which has a major third. So you can always slightly bend that flat third. So the whole thing, the whole first riff, or two first phrases would be 3, 4. Right? Now over the 4 chord, I introduced this note, which is C sharp, the natural 6 of E, or the 3rd of A. However you want to think of it. You could think of this as kind of being Dorian for a sec. But I wouldn't say I think of it like that necessarily, but it's mainly just a chord tone of A. Alright, so I do a slight half step bend to 15th fret. And then go to there. There's the call and response. Blues loves little variations on a riff. So, variation. Good. Finish the phrase. Now, I'm going to leave the position to go to, 15 and 16, which is the beginning of second position. Now, we're running out of room on an acoustic, but that's nice, right? Nice to be able to do that. That's the 5th and flat 7. And it's the beginning of a lot of blues cliches. All right. Then I go way up here to second position. Here's second position. And I go. And I start doing quarter notes. So bend, unbend, pull off, then bend. Now short notes. Short, 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 short. Now a slide back to first position. Now a classic riff. Okay, so there you go. That would be, a nice solo over a 12-bar blues. Memorize a 12-bar blues, by the way. There'll be a bunch of lessons on the Patreon as well as the channel on the 12-bar blues as well. So you could do that over the backing track and try it out. The second solo sounds like this. Okay, so the second solo is all about getting you moving a little quicker. Now, faster is not better, but the second solo is probably my favorite. The third one I love too, but it's really cooking and it can be a bit much, right? So the second solo I think is right in the sweet spot. Kind of reminds me of a Stevie Ray Vaughan sound. And what I'm doing is we're starting in a swung eighth note rhythm, and then I eventually get to 12/8. All right, so let's break down the theory of the second solo. We're going to be starting in first position again, but the riffs are a little quicker, and I immediately go to fifth position here. But you'll notice in the fifth position, if you stick to it, you're going to be on a weak finger here, the ring finger, on a root, and then your flat threes in the middle. It just doesn't work as well. So you want to reroute your fingers to stronger fingers here. So good lesson in that. So we start with, right, just basically a bend, unbend, pull off, bend. Great riff. Now go to fifth position. We could have done it here, but you know, when I was improvising it's knowing the positions is so crucial, because then you can know what each is going to sound like a little bit. And I wanted a brighter sound. This is kind of dark down here, so you know, bending the 4 to the 5, you can never do that too much, I think. I mean, that's always going to work. So I'm bending it, unbending it, pull off of the flat 3, always adding more vibrato on acoustic than electric because I want that sustain. All right, back to this call and response. Here's the response. I'm going to stop there. Then classic blues riff. You want to bend that 4 to the 5. Then you have the 5 and 1 here. Then flat 7, just going down the scale. And then ending on the roots, always a good idea on the blues. I mean, always is a strong word, but a lot of times that will work great. Now we have fun with thirds here. So, what's going on there? Well, we have minor thirds that are just crucial in blues. So, over the A chord, here's an A7. Here's the second position of A minor blues. Okay, so I can use the thirds here, right, from A and here. And I can also use the thirds here and here from E. So I got, then I can go to the thirds from E and here. So I can throw that in as almost chords. So I can slide here, down to here, which is part of the E position, right? And this is part of the A position. So I'm just going up, well, I'm going down, but I'm on the 4 chord, I'm taking this same pattern. See? The thirds, 5 and flat 7, 3 and 5 of A, 5 and flat 7 of E. It's all fair game over the 4 chords. So, now, what's happening here? 12/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Harder to count than to play in some ways. So, that's just a triplet. Triplet, every clap, every beat. Instead of 1 and 2 and, it's triplet. Now we keep that going with I just love that riff, and I'm happy that I improvised that, because when you improvise, you don't really know what's going to happen, right? That's part of the fun of it and the risk of it. So 1, 2, 1, and then it's on the and beat, and I go basically E minor blues, but I descend it, so it's going to be Okay, a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs. We really want to get our expression going with blues. So 1. Okay, notice that pull-off. I'm slightly bending that 3rd fret. So there you go. That would be that part. Then we go back to first position up here. Right? So, you know, back to the first position on this riff. Right? And then descending. Little trill. always good to go to the 5 chord with your notes. It's, so 4 to 5, okay, over the B7. All right, that takes us to the third solo, so let's watch that. All right, so this third solo, obviously it's really cooking, so we'll break it down, but we've pretty much broken down a lot of what we need to do positionally. It's more about the rhythm, all right? So a lot of pull-offs and hammer-ons. You want to get those nice and crisp. All right, so that was the call. Then the response, slightly different, actually elongated. Right, so it's a long phrase there. And we immediately go to the thirds again, but now we're going to do it single note. And watch my fingers here. I'm not going to hold them both down. I'm actually going to alternate between them. So let me try this out here. Whatever. So basically, when I go, these are the thirds, all the thirds I already did, but now I'm doing them single note, and I'm not just, this sounds good too, but I'm playing a melody, so I only want one note to ring out. It's all 12/8. Sorry, I keep stopping. I'm just trying to make all these points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, right? So you want to basically have the 12/8 motor going in your right hand, whether it's done through the left hand pull-offs and hammer-ons, bends, slides, vibratos, or if it's done with the right hand with picking each note. So hopefully this makes sense. Check out the backing track and just blues out for a while. And let me know if you like this. Feel free to say hello in the comment, and let me know how this goes for you. If you enjoy this type of content as well. And looking forward to seeing you next lesson. Bye.